In this chapter, we're going to look at some of the fundamentals of using SQL. SQL is pronounced by some people as just the letters SQL and by some people as SQL. It doesn't matter which way you say it, it's your personal choice, but it stands for Structured Query Language. And Structured Query Language is a fourth generation language, which means that in comparison with languages such as C++ or Java, it is a lot easier to read to the untrained eye and is a lot more similar to normal human syntax. All the words, all the keywords are English and mean pretty much what they do when we use them in the English language. First thing we're going to look at in this chapter is how to create a new database using SQL, and then how to create tables within that database. We're going to look at the different kinds of columns we can create within a table, and we're going to examine the use of keys and indexes in tables within our MySQL database. We're also going to look at different ways to manipulate data. We're going to be inserting, retrieving, updating and deleting different elements of data within our database. And finally, we're going to alter the structure of one of the tables that we've created. Before we do any of this though, it'd be a good idea to get familiar with the MySQL Monitor. Now I've created a shortcut to the MySQL Monitor on my desktop, so I'm running Microsoft Windows, and as you can see, all the shortcut points to is the MySQL program in the bin directory. This path may be different depending on what platform and operating system you're running on and exactly how you installed MySQL and onto which drive. So that's all this shortcut is. If we open up the MySQL Monitor, then we can see that we're being shown a prompt which just says MySQL, and there are a few keywords that we can use to navigate the MySQL Monitor, and these are strictly speaking not SQL, but they're part of the MySQL keyword set of MySQL keywords that we use to find our way around databases. So one thing that we can do is to use the show command. Show databases, and we end every line that we give to the MySQL Monitor with a semicolon. That's to tell the MySQL Monitor that it should interpret whatever we've just typed as a single line of commands, whether they be SQL or MySQL specific keywords. So the show databases statement will give us a list of the different databases that we've already created within MySQL. If you have just installed MySQL and there's no databases there, then the only one that you're likely to see is the MySQL database, a special database that helps us to grant permissions to specific users, and we'll look at that later. But because I have a few sample databases on here already on this system, then these are showing up. So we can use the keyword use to set the specific database that we want to be using. In this case, let's look at the food database. So that's all we use. Just use the use command followed by food. And that sets the default database that we're looking at. Then we can ask MySQL to show us all the tables. And because we've just specified a default database, that is food, we're going to see only the tables from the food database. So as we can see, MySQL returns a list of all the tables in food. If we wish to, we can get MySQL to show us the way that the tables are made up, the structure of the tables. How we do that is by saying show columns from, for instance, the recipes table. So this show columns command has to be used in conjunction with a specific table. As we can see, MySQL returns a list of all the different columns that it uses within the recipes table, and there's a lot of different details about those specific columns, like the column type and various other details that we're going to look at later on in this chapter. These are a few basic commands that will help you get familiar with the MySQL Monitor. In our next movie, we're going to take a look at how we create a database.